What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Shine Sis Podcast.
Yes, welcome, guys. It's good to have y'all back. Episode 3. Does that make us kind of official?
We doing this.
Right?
What you say, girl?
Are we kind of official, 3 episodes in?
I mean, hey, three.
Nah,
we getting there.
We got to get a season first. Get a season first, right?
Yeah, let us get 10 episodes in, and then I think we official.
Okay. That sounds good. We got y'all. We got y'all.
Right? But yes, welcome back. We're glad to have y'all back. Hope you guys have enjoyed the 2 episodes thus far.
Yeah.
Before we get to talking, I just want don't you even start, because this is what I'm about to say. For all our listeners and viewers, I know y'all know by now from the last 2 episodes that Candace can talk. And when I say talk, I mean capital T-A-L-K. She can talk, okay? Sometimes she like an Energizer Bunny that keep going and going, and you gotta be like, sis, all right now.
That's fair. That's fair. See, what did we talk about last week? Knowing your identity, knowing who you are, and I know what it is. So you know what? I'm just gonna receive that, and I'm gonna listen.
Receive it, girl. Receive it. If somebody tell you, remember what you said. If somebody continues telling you something, then you own it, and you do that well. Talk it. That's you. That's your talent.
Oh, Lord. Right.
Oh no. But no, on a serious note, so I'm gonna start the talking off, y'all. And when I feel like I'm done, I'll let her tap in.
Okay. So that's sweet. Okay. All right.
But no, let's get to it though. I got this. I do. So last episode we talked about, identity and quieting the background noises. And so today we're just going to elaborate more on what we mean by quieting that noise and why should we quiet that noise. And so the purpose of that is to speak life over yourself, speak life over a particular situation that you're in, speak life over your family, friends, whatever the issue at hand is to speak life. And then when we say speak life, what we mean by that is to encourage, use encouraging words over your life, words that build you up, and that manifests God's will for you, for your purpose that He has for you. After all, that's what we're doing, finding our purpose, right?
Amen.
All right. So, in terms, sometimes that background noise can tend to have like a negative effect on you. And sis, we don't need that negativity at all. At all, okay? It's all about what you put in your mind, and that has an effect on what you think. Let me say that again. It's what you put in your mind, and that has an effect on what you think.
Right.
I say that because negativity is everywhere. We cannot not foresee it. It's going to be everywhere no matter where we go, but it's how we choose to interact with it, how we choose to deal with it. Okay? Story time. Negativity. Whew. I've been dealing with negativity all my life, okay? All my life. Just Lord. Come on, Lord. Come on, Mary. All right, y'all. So we said we was gonna be get naked with y'all. We was gonna be raw, no filters. So I'm just getting to y'all straight. Okay, no filters, no nothing. All right, no sugarcoating it. So for those who's listening who know me, y'all already know my story. But for the new followers and that we got, here we go. I was a teenage parent. Boom. Okay, and everybody, I know y'all probably like, okay. All right. Okay. Here's another boom. I hid my pregnancy. Boom.
Boom, boom.
What you mean by that, sis? Sis, I was 9 months and ain't nobody know, okay? That's what I mean. And there was negativity all around me, and part of the reason why I didn't tell anybody about my pregnancy because I had all these negative thoughts going in my head, just weighing me down. Negativity, just the thoughts of disappointing my parents, disappointing my friends, and what others would think about me. In terms of disappointing my parents, it was more so like, okay, my mom and dad, they were teenage parents. My mom was 14 or 15 when she had me. Mm. So you can imagine just try not to repeat that cycle. Now, granted, I mean, I was in 11th grade. I wasn't in 9th grade like she was, but God rest her soul. But the point was that growing up, when I got a certain age, they always kept saying, don't make those same mistakes as I did. Be better than me. Make sure you graduate from school. You go out to college, you get married, you start your family after you get married. Follow everything by the book, sort of say. Not only that, but my grandparents, they owned their own church, okay? They were pastors of a church. So I was in church almost every day. Wednesday night, Bible study. Saturday, choir rehearsal. Sunday, if we had an afternoon service, I was there. I helped play on the drums. I sung in the choir. I ushered. I did whatever. I was in the church. I am the pastor's granddaughter, okay? So that pressure alone, like, when I found out, I was like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
Not doing it. Like, it was like, more so when I first found out, I was shocked. And I was just like, nah, can't be. But then I was scared. So it's like, I got the disappointment of my parents, my grandparents, because they helped raise me. So they were my second parents. And then it was like wondering what my friends would think. So let me tell y'all. I know y'all probably like, well, how did your mom find out you were pregnant? What's the story behind that? All right. So boom. One Sunday at church, my legs and feet were so swollen, they had me sit on the front pew. Now, we grew up Baptist church, a small family knit church. So everybody knew everybody. We was either family or we called each other family because that's how close we were. Everybody knew everybody's business. Okay? And so it wasn't until altar call prayer. That's where we go around and gather and we pray. It was during altar call prayer. You say the normal prayer, but then there was a special prayer for Mary Elizabeth Watford at the time. Because nobody knew why my feet and legs were so swollen. Lord. So and during altar call, I'm just like, while the pastor's praying, I'm like, Lord, I'm going to hell. Lord, I'm so sorry. Like, Lord, if I get through this, Lord, I'm so sorry. Like, please forgive me, Lord. Right. I'm going to repent to you, like, every day. I'm so sorry. Like, please save a place for me. Like, but did I say anything then? No, I did not. After church service, I remember everyone coming up to my mom, like, make sure you take her to the doctor. Take her to the hospital right now. What could be going on, she don't need to be playing basketball and doing this, this, that, and the third. And I know y'all probably like, well, how did your mom not know? Well, play basketball. I wore baggy clothes. And sis, I was wearing like 2 to 3 girdles, okay? Won't nobody gonna know, okay?
I wish I had them girdles.
I had this, girl. I need one now. But no, so like we went home that day and I remember my mom was able to call like the after hours and she got me an appointment like that Monday to go to the doctor. And you talking about nerves, go to that doctor's office, do the normal checkup. Doctor's like, lay down. And I'm like, lay down. Lay down. She pull up my shirt, pull back my girdles. You can see the line. You knew I was pregnant. Y'all know that line y'all get when you're pregnant. Mm-hmm. And how about this? I still denied it. She was like, you're pregnant. I was like, no, I'm not. Because I was just in shock and still in denial. Like, girl, you need to let it go down. Right. And she was like,
throw in the towel. I looked
at my mom. Girl, I was holding on to that. No, I'm not. She looked at my mom and she was like, Mom, she's pregnant. Come here, look. And I was like, no, I'm not, Mom. No, I'm not. I'm sitting up. The doctor pushed me back down. Like, lay your tail down. Like, this doctor, she was my doctor since I was a baby. So she had all right to just push me back and like, no, you're going to lay down because I'm about to beat you myself.
Right, gotcha.
But man, I was just like, it wasn't until like my mom got up and she started walking over there and she saw my stomach and she passed out, y'all. Like, she passed out.
I don't think you ever told me that.
And I was like, Lord, I ain't tell nobody this. Only a couple people know this. She passed out. And I remember like, dang, Lord, after I had this baby, I'm gone. I'm dead. Like, this is it. Like, what's going about to happen to me? My mama about to beat my chest. She about to beat the baby out of me. Shoot.
Oh,
like,
Lord.
I remember.
Being
it was serious.
that
Like,
scared,
the nurses came in, girl. It was like, I was just like, oh my God, Mary, what are you doing? You just causing more chaos. Unnecessary chaos. But, so after that, like, after my mom, like, was better, like, we immediately had to go to the hospital. I immediately had to get all this blood work drawn, get ultrasounds, get tests done, because mind y'all, I hit my pregnancy. This was already 9 months in. I had no prenatal care, no lab work done. So, didn't know, whether baby boy was okay or not. And
right.
I think my first encounter, besides like the thoughts and that was already spiraling in my head about disappointing my parents and grandparents, when I went to the hospital, they took me to get an ultrasound, and because I'm a teenage parent, I'm considered an adult, my mom didn't go, they didn't allow my mom in the room with me. And so when they did the ultrasound, they turned the screen away from me. So I didn't even see my baby. I didn't know what I was having. And they didn't disclose that with me. So at that point, I'm just like, I'm feeling like, dang, like, they already, think of me as, here go another young black teenage parent, messing up her life. Like, I felt walked over. I felt like taken advantage of. I felt like I didn't feel respected because, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, I was young and stuff, but I would have felt more better, like, oh, sweetie, it's okay. This is life. This is what happened. Oh, let's take a look and see your baby's heartbeat. Hear your baby's heartbeat. This is what you're having, by the way. None of that. I didn't know none of that. And then when I went back to the room, my mom asked, like, what you're having? How's the baby? I don't know, Mom. They didn't tell me anything.
Right.
So that added on to like the negativity thoughts that was already in my head. That added more to it because, had baby boy. Praise God that he was healthy as can be. Mm-hmm. No issues. But then I dealt with when it came time to like go back to school and what other people would think. I remember going to the first checkup, that 1 week appointment, and all these older women just turning their nose up at me, shaking their head, just like couldn't believe it. And I'm just like, adding on like, oh, it's because I'm young. I done had a baby. Oh, I done had a baby out of wedlock. Lord knows, like, I know my granddaddy's disappointed, for him to be a pastor. I know, So all these thoughts just continuously to just drown me. I remember going to school and people had already was telling my business. Some people thought I was really sick, like on my deathbed. Y'all don't know how they thought that, but I mean, I guess because I was gone for like 2 months, but still, like, I remember like the rumors getting out and I was just like, all right, I guess this is what I'm gonna find out who my real friends are.
Right.
And speaking of real friends, y'all, Candace didn't even know, okay? Because I had my own negative thoughts. No, let me finish.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then you can say your piece about this. Y'all, okay. I had my own negative thoughts because I was just like, I was already harboring the feelings of you not being there physically. And I was like, I don't got my best friend here. Like, I couldn't, a phone call and a text away, but it was different because you weren't there physically. So I was already like in my feelings about that. And then I was afraid to know, like, how would you view me as afterwards? Like, I thought majority, like, of my real friends, they'd be like, oh, she fast. I thought from their parents' perspective, I would be like a bad influence. Like, they wouldn't allow us to be friends anymore. So I had all that just festering in my head for a while. Like, if it wasn't for the unconditional love from my parents, my grandparents, you, Candace, my other friends, like, they spoke life into me, y'all, because at that point, I couldn't speak it over myself. Like, they encouraged me. They let me know that it's okay and things happen. They let me know I was going to get through it, and I did. So that's what we mean about negative thoughts, and it's what you put in your mind that has an effect on what you think, because I put all those thoughts in my head. No one else. So, whew. The Bible says life and death lies in the power of the tongue. So it's up to us to be mindful of what we think about and what we let into our heads at the end of the day. That's my story, y'all.
Oh, girl. Yes. No, and to be fair, I completely understand. Like, obviously, as we got older, we had certain conversations about this a few times, you know, the understanding came. I mean, there was initial shock only because, as you know, like I heard it from somebody else who I wasn't sure if they had the whole story or something like that. So I was like, no, you know, she would have told me that. Like, no. Plus, to be very clear, y'all, Mary was not fast at all. So that would have that
a full-on tomboy, full-on.
Right. So that thought would have never, you know, even enter my head or even my parents, you know, head in terms of being worried about, you know, us like continuously interacting. I think, and then even hearing the story of, I think, and I don't want to make it sound like a painful thing and to make you feel better or anything like that, but I feel bad that I couldn't be there for you after hearing what you went through, if that makes sense. But that's not like to say, I don't want you feeling no kind of way about it. I'm just saying, because like, as I heard more, even when I asked you the other day and I'm like, you know, what was going through your head? You know what I'm saying? When you're hiding this from everybody, you know, just the pressure. And like I said, and now even hearing you talk about how, you know, the negative thoughts that you had, and I'm thankful for your family. I'm thankful for your friends that were even, you know, that were local there with you to even help you out and stuff like that. But like I said, it's just interesting to hear how, like you said, all of these things that were going on around you, it was all about how you perceived it, how you took it in, you know, and you internalized all of those thoughts, you know, which would add stress on and I would just imagine anxiety and all these different negative feelings inside of you, almost for no reason. Once you see the reaction from your closest friends and from your family, the positivity that came, you know, from them to let you know that, like, hey, we move on, you know, we don't worry, we got you, basically is what was said. So it's just like, and like I said, and the support and the love was there. So I'm glad that basically, you know, you reached that point. And now what's even more beautiful is the fact that you're taking that experience to speak life into others. With going back to, which is what we're talking about how we, you know, we want to get to a point where we learning, or sorry, where we are habitually speaking life into ourselves. And that's not easy to just, you know, switch on and switch off or whatever. But I think one of the main things is when you hear that negative thought enter into your mind, take a second, think about, where is it coming from? You know, am I thinking this about myself because I'm afraid of something? You know, I'm afraid of the challenge, I'm afraid of the opportunity, I'm afraid of the moment. So it's almost like a defense mechanism to keep me bounded, basically, you know. So I don't have to be uncomfortable. So, but I just think, you know, just getting to a point where you hear those negative thoughts, and you find ways to respond positively to them, can help going forward.
Point being, so like, just to piggyback off of that, it's like we will always be in a battle with our minds and thoughts, especially when it comes to comparing what we have to what we don't have, where we are, where we want to be, or just in general what we think other people would think about us. And you know, honestly, we shouldn't care. At the end of the day, we shouldn't care about what other people think, because their opinions doesn't matter. But it kind of does. You still, there is a part of you that you still, you know, sometimes you want that validation.
Right. From a realistic standpoint, even though, like you said, ideally you don't want to be that person who admits that, right. But be realistic. You care. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the reason why we want you guys to focus on learning how to, you know, speak life into yourself, and also like just staying positive and motivated, is because we truly believe that, you know, there's beyond just the idea of there being power in the tongue, but just in your head, how powerful your mind is. Because it almost seems like, you know, your life or your decision making will kind of always move in that same direction. Sorry, excuse me, y'all. In terms of what you believe or think about yourself. So, because it creates expectations for yourself. So if you're, when things are not going the way you want, if that's not the mindset you have for yourself, or you feel like you should be there, whatever the case is, you're going to find ways to keep pushing yourself to get out of that and to move, head in the right direction. But if you're somebody who, was born into this, where you feel like you were in a situation where you were unloved and or constantly told that you weren't smart, or you weren't special, and you have internalized all those thoughts, then you will probably accept a lot more than you should. You know what I mean? And you will continue to just think, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Like, I don't deserve to have better. I don't deserve to have more. But changing that mindset and just being like, you know what? I am smart. I am unique. I am saying these things will get you to start pushing yourself in certain fields or certain aspects of your life or whatever, because you're going to have higher expectations for yourself. And I think that's really important, because think about what your words can do for somebody else. In terms of inspiring, motivating, but also harming and hurting. Like, how many relationships or friendships have you had because, somebody said something that either you didn't like, or either you said something that person didn't like. So you see how there's an effect on the words that come out of your mouth. So if they're that powerful, you need to be smart about what's coming out of your mouth, because, a lot of times what you're speaking are your thoughts, which are usually coming from the heart. And if you say, no, that's not true, I was just mad, you probably need to check yourself then, because then you got to start thinking, well, if it's not really what I think or not really how I feel, then why am I allowing myself to speak these words? But, and I'm kind of going into a different direction with that. So let me pull back on that, because that's a conversation for another day. But I just think there's, it's very important to just be mindful of how strong your mind is in terms of how it can help you, or hurt you if you don't feed it properly. So if you feed it with a bunch of junk, hey, that's what you're going to get out, because that's what you're going to expect for yourself. That's what you're going to allow yourself to receive. But I mean, you think about some of the more, even if you look at kids, like some of the kids who have been fed into, who have the confidence, they walk a little bit different than kids who haven't been fed into in that kind of way. The confidence level is different. And I'm not talking about shyness, because that's a difference. There's a difference between being, just quiet and shy versus, being somebody where you don't believe in yourself at all. You know what I mean? Like if their self-esteem is low. So I don't mean just because somebody's quiet and shy, but no, just in terms of, they don't, So anyways, going back to what I was saying, I just think it's very important that we stay focused and dwell on the positive. So like I said, when those negative thoughts hit, you got to find a way to shut it down. And even if you sometimes, like, call me crazy, but if one of those thoughts come across my head, I will say it out loud. Like, I will speak against it out loud, just so I hear, like, that I recognize that negative thought and I shut it down. You know what I mean? Because
the devil is a lie.
Exactly. Because there's definitely been situations where if I looked at certain opportunities, I may be like, you know what? I don't think I would be good for that, because I don't, I'm not really good at this and I'm not really good at that. Do you know, I really start looking at myself differently when I start engaging with people who had confidence out of this world and didn't necessarily have the skills and experience to back it up. Now, I'm not, trying to discredit them or anything like that, but it made me look at myself like, why don't I have that same mindset? Like, why don't I approach a situation full force like that? Like, hey, I'm here. This is what I have to offer, and it's a lot for you. I'm like, why don't I walk that same way? And because there will be certain people who could be less qualified than me, less experienced, and they walk in the room like, hey, I deserve this. I've earned this already. Right. Like, give it to me, and they're the ones who get the opportunities. And you know why? Because it's all about their thought process and what they think about themselves, going back to their identity and who they are. Like I said, so you got to get to the point of speaking positive light to yourself. Just like, think about it. If I have 2 flowers and I feed one with sunlight and with water, it's going to grow. But if the other one, if I'm like not feeding into, nothing is going to come up. So whatever you feed into, whatever you put your effort into, that's what's going to grow. If you are sitting there and you're constantly doubting yourself and you're very negative about your situation, that is what's going to take over your life. Okay. But if you get to a point of recognizing the fact of, nope, this is not who I want to be, and you start speaking positive to you, you're going to find little small things that begin to change in your life. All because your perspective is going to change and your expectations are going to change. So you're going to push a little bit more to do different things. And I think that's important, that, you just keep pushing, and just remember that whatever, the thoughts that come out, which eventually come out of your mouth, are basically created or fed through what you ingest. So if you're somebody who's truly trying to work on yourself, hey, this podcast, isn't enough. It needs to be the podcast. You need to be feeding into yourself in terms of whether it's, if you're into reading books or something like that. Okay. Whether it's into writing, journaling, you need to find something. There should be several outlets where you're truly investing in yourself, basically, to get to that next life. And that's what we mean about just speaking that positivity to motivate yourself to just do more, and just say, hey, I'm gonna stop talking. Like I'm ready to do. So, every moment should basically be focused on, how can I be closer to that person I want to be in terms of positivity.
Yeah, it just goes back to the power of the tongue, because the power of the tongue, I mean, what your words can either kill and destroy, or they can uplift and encourage. Mm-hmm. Like you have to choose that. Remember back in the day where we used to say like, sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will never hurt us. It's like, no, because words do hurt. They do hurt. They cut. They sting. They hurt. So no, it won't be none of that. I mean, it's great to say that, to build up that confidence, but when you walk around saying that, but internally they are hurting you, and you just wearing this mask, eventually that mask gonna melt off. It can be detrimental. So in other words, like in summary, we just need to just guard our minds and thoughts with positive thinking, because at the end of the day, our life is going to gravitate to what holds more power. And if your mind and thoughts have more negative than positive thinking, sis, you're going down the wrong road. So we just got to adjust that.
Right. And you have to recognize those moments, because I think if you've gotten to a point where it's so, it's like second nature, you may not notice it at first, but anytime you have a thought about doubting yourself in some kind of way, check yourself. When you're speaking against yourself in some kind of way, like, oh, I'll never be able to. If you're saying something like that, I'll never, that's probably one of them times where you need to say, okay, hold on, let me rephrase that. Because that's not it's not productive to focus on the negativity. Like I said, I think the most important thing is dwelling on basically just remaining positive through all of that, remaining positive. And yeah.
And we just want don't get it wrong, don't get it twisted. We got to speak life and stuff, but don't think like, oh, they must got it all figured out. They must be speaking life for their stuff every day. Nah, sis. We are.
It's a journey every day.
Like you.
Right.
Yes, every day. Like, because it'll be one day and be like, oh, I can't fit no clothes. I'm ugly. Like, babe, why you don't love me no more? Stuff like that. Like, would you love me if I gained some more weight or something?
Right.
Every day is a battle. So, like, we in this together, okay?
Exactly. So, and like I said, especially, I think one of my biggest issues is like I said, going back to different types of opportunities that may come across my table. And I'm like, like sometimes I've been in a situation where I've counted myself out before I even gave myself a chance. Think about how stupid that sounds. Do you understand there are people in this world who don't deserve what they get, all because, like I said, going back to what they expect. And I should say don't deserve, but But I know there's been situations where, like I say, I'll be like, oh, well, you know what? If I probably won't get it. So, let me not even try to see what happens there. I'll just, it's all right. Like I said, and then somebody could come behind me who is not on my level in regards to whatever the position is or something like that and just scoop it right up. Like, oh, you don't want this? Thank you, girl. You know what I mean? And now they're blessed with the opportunity. So y'all got to get out here and start being positive and take what's yours. Take what's yours. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's too much to go around. So stop being negative. There's no reason to sit there and focus too much on that. Going back to, I think, and I know this is probably something so simple in comparison to what we're talking about, but I know the first episode, y'all, we talked about how me and Mary met and how we played basketball together. No lie. She told y'all she was trying to get me to come out there my freshman year. I literally talked myself out of that because I was like, no,
she did, y'all.
No, like maybe I shouldn't go out there because I don't know why, but I would get nervous about the idea of playing. Even when I played, I never played to my best ability. Like I've never played on.
And she was good, y'all. She was good.
I appreciate that, but for some reason, every time when it came to organized basketball, I just like I said, I got fussed out by a lot of coaches for not shooting the ball and stuff like that. But I don't know, and that goes back to, playing street ball. I may have all the confidence in the world, but getting on a stage like that, get nervous, start doubting yourself, start negative thoughts start coming in, and next thing you know, my mind says, okay, well, this is who I am. This is how I play. This is what I'm supposed to do because I've already internalized those thoughts. And that's what, what I was thinking and stuff. So yeah, it would be nice to sometimes I'm like, dang, why didn't I just go out there and be like, give me the ball? But I was like, no, I've never played with that level of confidence in organized basketball. Never.
But in street ball, you do a lot of trash talk.
Yeah, I do.
which is crazy. Like how you could do all this trash talk.
I don't know.
Ball, which is gonna be, it's no rules or anything. But organized ball, like you just like, I'm gonna pass the ball. I'm not gonna shoot.
That's why I was like, was it the pressure? Like the idea of, oh, this actually counts? I don't know. Whereas obviously street ball, you just out there hooping. Hey, if I missed a shot, y'all still gonna come out here and play tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it ain't a big deal. But like in organized ball, it's like, oh, you missed a shot and now we, suck. I mean, I don't know. So it was just, I don't know. But like I said, so obviously different mindset now, at least aiming forward and stuff like that. And it's crazy because even back then I felt like we had, even with the coaches and stuff like that, but other people who were in the process of trying to speak life into us, you know what I mean? And try to change some of that mindsets. Yeah. But, sometimes you don't appreciate stuff till you get a little older and you're like,
okay,
some good teaching.
Like, dang.
So I think, our goals, y'all, going forward, what we're going to try to do when we get them negative thoughts, we're going to punch them in the mouth and then we're going to dwell on the positive.
In the mouth.
Yes. Dwell on the positive. And focus on that. And like, even when it comes to, I guess I would say, if you just, take that second and like I said, speak against it when the negative thoughts come across, but just make sure y'all stay focused and like I said, and just keep pushing, because obviously you want to change. If you listen to this podcast at this point, you want to change. It's not just, I mean, I wouldn't mind if it's also some who just supporting us. I appreciate that too.
Okay. Thank y'all.
But I assume if you listening this far, it's because you want to be fed into as well. So like I said, I think it's also important to find other avenues as well to add to this, to really start feeding your soul, man.
Yes. And we know this is not going to happen overnight. There's no overnight thing. I mean, just take it one day at a time, sis. One day at a time.
Right. Because if you got kids, you gotta get them negative thoughts out your head all the time.
Because I tell you, every other second, I'm like, Lord, they test me negative.
Right.
Like, move back, negative. Move back,
exactly. Like, not today. See, let it be known. Oh, that's another thing too. If you out here trying to make some adjustments. Don't think God ain't gonna test you here and there. So be prepared, okay? Because at some point you got to prove that you've changed and prove that you've grown. Yeah, and that only comes to the test and stuff. So don't be surprised.
Let your test be your testimony, okay?
So, oh, by the way, I do got to ask this question though. So when you went back,
here she goes.
So hold on. So when you went back to church, what was that like?
Well, first off, hold on. Okay, so in the hospital, that same day, like three church members came up to the hospital that same day.
Wait, when you
like popped me upside the head, like when I was getting the blood work drawn and stuff, because I was there for I think, we were there for a couple hours, and they were just like, little old Mary, she about to have a lamb. But I mean, and as I look back, I'm just like, they were really like, it wasn't like all the pressure and stuff I was feeling. They were just like, it's okay,
Yeah.
And I was just like, dang, all right. It's going to be okay. If we can sit and joke about it now and baby not even here. Because I remember them saying, it ain't nothing you can do now. He almost here.
Right.
And I'm like, you're absolutely right. So,
right.
When I went back to church, everybody was just like ready to love on him. So it was good. I mean, and that even had like it was crazy because, still part of the youth choir and stuff. So you got like all the younger people or our age just come up to, so girl, like, did it hurt? Like, what happened?
Right.
Everybody trying to be nosy and stuff. Just like, so what was it like? And just like, and so I felt like, I was experienced. Girl, let me tell you.
Girl, you should have scared all of them. Man, that junk hurt like.
I did scare them because I was like, they was like, did you give any medicine? Oh, let me tell y'all about that during the labor process. My daddy was like, hell no, she don't need no medicine. She going all natural. She decided to open her legs to get pregnant. She gonna push this baby out with no medicine. So when I tell y'all I had no medicine, I had no medicine. And I was just like, the nurses was looking like, but she can make it. He was like, hell no. This is my punishment for her. She good. She got this. And I was just like, I got this. Y'all heard my daddy. I got this.
Right. Girl.
So, yes. Mm-mm.
Let me tell you. So,
man,
I don't even know that we supposed to be talking about something else, but real quick, the first one, I didn't have no epidural. The second one, I was able to get one, but it was literally like, a few minutes before he came out. So it really wasn't even worth it. Cause I'm like, at this point, man, the freaking contractions was kicking my tail. So, and I had never felt that, like, with my first one, even though I didn't have an epidural, they knocked me out with some medicine. So I was like waking up for contractions and then I would go back to sleep. Wake up for contractions, go back to sleep. So, but with him, I didn't have that. So I was just sitting there like, oh my God, am I about to die? Like, what is this that's going on right now? Girl, I was like, You know what? But I want to say thank you for bringing this up because y'all, before the episode started, I was just telling Mary how I was looking at my kids and I'm like, oh, y'all not babies no more. And how I was kind of reminiscing. And you know what? Just hearing them stories, I'm like, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I
know I'm good.
I'm like, shoot. Man. Is there anything else you want to add to the mix?
No, I think we done dropped enough gems for today. But while we is speaking life, we're supposed to practice it every day, so we can just go ahead and get this affirmation going.
Alrighty. I am enough.
I have the power to create the life I desire.
I am worthy of my dreams.
I am worthy of my dreams.
Yeah. Yes, remember that. You are worthy of your dreams, but to get there, y'all, you got to be positive and you got to take them steps. You got to push yourself. You got to motivate. It ain't easy. If it was easy, everybody out here would be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So, or not doing it, but everybody out here would be successful at whatever it is you're trying to do. So you got to be somebody who's going to be putting in the work, and to put in the work, you got to keep yourself motivated. Cause if you ain't motivated, man, it's hard to keep trying to do something that ain't necessarily paying off initially, or you can't reap the benefits. So, whatever it is, if it's not a quick turnaround, you have to find ways to keep your motivation high. And that's just keeping your eye on the prize, man. And speaking life over yourself.
Yes. So we're going to go ahead and end this here, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. And remember, sis, you got this.
You got this, girl.